This is the old upholstered top to my car's center console. It looked pretty gross, so I decided to try covering it with carbon fiber. I pulled out the staples that were holding the fabric onto the plastic base. Underneath that was a layer of nasty foam with old powder adhesive residue all over it. This obviously wasn't going to be a good base for adhering the carbon fiber, so I also removed the degraded old foam. Now, this left a part that was neither solid nor flat, still not a good base for carbon fiber skinning. So I sanded the plastic to get good adhesion, cut out a piece of new foam, and glued it on with contact cement. There is no reason it needed to be foam since the part will be hard, not cushioned anymore once the carbon fiber is added. But foam provided the perfect thickness that I needed and was pretty easy to install. Next, I taped off the back of the part to keep it clean before using black epoxy to seal the foam and even out the surface for skinning. I hand cut some really nice carbon pieces for this project and used that to make a sheet of forged carbon fiber fabric using the spray adhesive method I showed in a previous video, which I'll link in the video description here. Using the old upholstery as a template, I cut the carbon fiber fabric to fit over the part, and also a piece of silicone-coated nylon peel ply. I spread epoxy onto the peel ply first, trying to reduce the amount of air bubbles I introduce by using a plastic card as a scraper to spread the resin instead of a brush, and a heat gun to pop remaining bubbles. I then flipped the carbon fiber fabric right side down onto the peel ply so I could saturate it with resin from the back, which is the carbon veil side. If you try to add resin to the front of this type of fabric, the pieces of carbon get all messed up and come unstuck because spray adhesive and sizing both dissolve in epoxy. My other way of making forged fabric that I showed briefly in a short recently, which I'll also link in the description, does make this a lot easier, but still the method I'm showing you here is really good for keeping the chopped carbon pieces defined without having to mess with resin infusion or with placing each piece individually. I tried using this bubble roller that's supposed to remove air pockets and compress the layers, but I don't think it did anything for this small project better than what I can do with my hands and the plastic card and heat gun, so I wouldn't bother with it in future. Next, I spread resin onto the part itself. Basically, everything gets wetted out separately to reduce the chance of any dry spots in the final part. And now, here's the trick. You can just take the whole piece of resin-soaked carbon fiber together with the peel ply and place it onto the part. Except that was kind of a stupid way to do this because it's hard to get the positioning right. So here's another trick. As long as you keep the peel ply on there to stabilize the material, you can take the fabric back off the part and do it the smart way this time by bringing the part to the fabric instead of the other way around. Obviously. So then it's just a matter of folding up the carbon over the sides and making sure that it's in contact with the part everywhere. At the corners, I had to pull away the peel ply and add relief cuts before folding it back over the part to make sure there was no bridging of the carbon underneath. To compress this while it cures, rather than using a vacuum bag which can cause pinholes and tends to get resin everywhere inside the part, I opted to wrap the part in strips of non-porous peel ply. You could also use self-releasing shrink tape if you want to, but the peel ply plus some packing tape worked fine for this part. Once the resin cured, I cut off the plastic and pulled off the nylon peel ply. If needed, you can at this point sand off any excess resin or carbon that ended up where you don't want it, but otherwise the lightly textured surface left by the peel ply is ready for secondary bonding. I added layers of resin with sanding in between and then polished it up until I had a flat and glossy surface. It's a good idea to give any part that's going into a car a UV protective clear coat. I didn't do that. I did use tabletop epoxy that's supposed to provide some UV resistance. If you're still watching, then you either like carbon fiber projects or you fell asleep. Please like the video if you're awake. Sadly, I don't have this car anymore because expensive things kept breaking, but I do still have the console top and a key. Yay me. Thanks for watching.